and welcome to Crafters TV and welcome to one of my favourite shows, Craft Along. Oh my goodness, if you are in the mood to flex those creative muscles, oh, I feel like I pulled something then, flex those creative muscles, then you are totally in the right place. If we've not met before, hey up, how are you? My name is Rebecca Redican. You can call me Becky though, and it's so nice to be with you this afternoon. We've obviously had Ben being busy on the live, so I'm with you for the next 2 hours and we are getting seriously crafty. Today it is all about stamps, stencils, mixed media, and it's all about you being able to create along and craft with us. I've got some new treats. If you follow me on my socials, you'll have seen I popped up a story because I am glimmering and shimmering with some of our brand new cosmic shimmers. I don't want to give too much away, but you know me, I can't keep a secret. I've got brand new jewels. I've got different colours of the chalk paint for you. I've got shimmer paints for you. It's all on the web. You can go and have a little nosy at it now, but we will be going through some on the show and we're going to be crafting with them, specifically our wonderful creative today who's joining us. And I tell you what, if you've been on her socials you will know how great this piece is. Today, Jan, what are we making?
Oh, I can't wait for this one. It's been a long time coming, Becky. You asked and we give. We've done quite a few sort of mixed media shows now. They've been very, very well received. The Cosmic Shimmer products flew out of the door, so we've got some more for you, which Becky's going to show you. I'll have a little dabble in them later on. But it's all about that craft along this afternoon. It's all in real time. I have absolutely nothing prepared, nothing at all. So it is literally going to be going step by step along with you, and I'm hoping that you can craft along at the same time. So this is what we're actually going to be making, all right, and I've kept it fairly basic as far as mixed media is concerned. I didn't want to go the whole hog straight away and scare everybody off, so we are going to start fairly basic. We've got lots of different textures and layers going on, and that's what I'm going to teach you this afternoon. So the list of equipment has been circulating sort of over the last 24 hours, but just to go through what you're going to need, and I want to stress at this point that if you haven't got the right colour, use something you've got. If you haven't got the right stamp, use something in your stash. There's no set law about it has to be what I used, it has to be the same colour, so it may be a completely, and that way I used to love this when I was teaching because you get the same idea but in lots of different colourways, so it's really, really good. So we're going to need some watercolour card. Now I've actually picked up 3 sheets of A4 watercolour card, should be sufficient, and just 1 sheet of the matte black. So that's the card stock, and then I put a pattern paper of your choice to suit your colour scheme, because I'm aware that if I'd have said piece of paper X and you hadn't got it, that's a turn off straight away. So again, whatever you've got in there, you know, so choose something fairly subdued. It doesn't want to be a bold pattern because we're going to fade it into the background. I'm going to whip through this because there's quite a lot on here. So we need circle nesting dies. I've put approximate sizes just to make the circles on the project. Again, if they're slightly different dimensions, it doesn't matter. So layering texture stamps, I chose the garden trellis and the letter to you. If you've got those, great. If you haven't, something that can actually, the script stamp, if you've got a script stamp knocking about, that's what I used from the letter to you, and a flower stamp, that's basically what you need. The butterfly stamp and sentiment to create that focal piece, it can be any one. I put the one that I use, but it can be any butterfly. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. You've got that there in the centre. Art liners, just a black liner pen, okay. We've also got the background stencils and focal stamps, and I've used Happiness Blooms and It's Time. And again, I've just used the stencils out of there. So if you haven't got those stencils, substitute them for something that you've got. Doesn't matter, it doesn't make a difference. It's learning the techniques today, not the actual shapes or sizes of what we're working with. Cosmic Shimmer, I've got the gilding, I know lots of you bought this, the metallic gilding polish, and we're going to use it as a paint. I used Ocean Teal, but again, if you've got a different colour, substitute it for your colour. The Pixie Sparkles, again, I picked Coral Crush and Teal Marine. Different colours, doesn't matter. All right. Black and white gesso, Spectrum Noir waterproofing, because obviously we're going to be throwing lots of water at this project. Everything else is a water-based product, so we need that waterproof ink. And then I've also put the opaque pigment ink in there because we've got a little bit of shading to do as well. I've put a jet black and the honey pot in there. So that's the product. And again, I really want to stress that if it's not the same colour or the same text or the same, don't worry, just go with it. And then I think the list of equipment is fairly self-explanatory, and the majority of us have got this to hand anyway, so we don't need to worry. Just needs the larger guillotine because we're going to be working with A4 cardstock. I've got the mini. If you haven't got a mini, you can put it through your Gemini, you can put it through your MIDI. It's only to cut out the circles. That's the only bit of die cutting we're going to do. So again, it's very, very flexible. And then the rest of the bits and pieces on there, as I say. And I just put at the end wipes, kitchen paper, cloth, because we're going to need a lot. There's a lot of mopping up going on. You know me, I'm actually quite clean to start with, but I can't promise I'm going to be at the end. So we give you a few minutes if you haven't got all that together. I'm going to flick back over to Becky, and then we'll get started in just a few minutes' time.
So whilst you're getting all of those bits and bobs together, let me just remind you, we love you getting social. So if you're going to be crafting along, you could send us in pictures of stages maybe when you're getting in drying periods. We'd love to share them with everyone out there because it's great to inspire each other. This is how you can get involved and send us pictures. Maybe you want to message us and let us know, you know, you're not using that sentiment pack that's in the list, you're going to use a different one. Fill us in, let us know, keep us posted, because it's lovely to inspire each other. And trust me, inspire is what today is all about. Of course, you're going to want some lovely elements. If you don't have exactly what we've got in show today, don't worry, you can treat yourself to the goodies today, save the show, of course, and then once these delivered to you in a few days' time, you'll be able to craft along with that live show. So this is what we're bringing to you to start off. We're going to get you those layering and texturing stamps. Now, there is a huge amount in here, as you can see, and what I want you to know is you can get all of these as part of the bundle. Now, the bundle is the best way to get them if it's value for money that you're looking for. Value for money wise, we're talking 17% discount on this today, which actually all in all makes these work out only around about £6.65 each or $8.29 each. That is bonkers. If you're anything like me and you've been to other crafting shops, I know, why do we do it to ourselves? But if you have, you will know full well, you can easily, for a pack this size, be spending around about the £12 mark. So to be able to get them today in that bundle for £6.65 is fantastic. So do treat yourself to that now. And speaking of treat, let's get ready to do our favourite thing and craft. Jan, are we ready to start?
I am ready, I hope. Shall we just check and make sure that they're all good to go, Becky? Is there anybody messaged in with any queries? I think I'm good to go at this side. I'm going to get cracking with my cardstock, but I think we're probably okay.
Val is in. She says, hi, Becky and Jan, crafting while I watch, and that's Val in Southampton. Pam says, okay, I've finished my cuppa, so I'm ready to start. Going to get all the bits, but we'll do my best with what I have.
Yep,
that's perfect.
That's what it's all about, and that's what I wanted to get across big time. It doesn't have to be exact. It's more the techniques that I want you to sort of learn today, and you can apply them in your own manner. If yours looks different at the end, absolutely fine. There's no right or wrong. So we're going to start with the cardstock, and I said that we needed 3 pieces of watercolour card and 1 piece of black. Now I'm going to put the black to one side for a second, and I'm going to put one of the pieces of watercolour card to one side. Now the 2 pieces that I've got left, we just need to trim down slightly. So job number 1 then. I've got my large guillotine, and I'm going to pop the extension arm out there as well. And I want you to cut 2 of your pieces of cardstock. So I'm going to put the long side in my guillotine there, and I'm going to trim it down to 10.5 inches. So I'm going to cross the top, make sure it's nice and snug at the top there, to 10.5, and just trim off a little piece off that side, and that is scrap. Okay? And then spin it round, and I'm just going to take our UK A4 is 8.25 inches. I'm just going to trim it down to 8. All right, so I'm just going to take a sliver off that one side, take 1/4 inch off. It's only a little tiny bit to make it 8 inches, and that one's scrap. So that's piece 1. So just to recap that, 10.5 inches along the long side by 8 inches down the short side. And then I'm going to do exactly the same to the second piece. So again, pop that in the guillotine, make sure it's buttered up nicely against that top edge, find your 10.5 inch mark, hold your finger guard, and a nice clean cut down that side. And then turn it round, and we're just going to take that 1/4 inch off my piece to 8 inches, hold it down again, and just get rid of that little piece. Okay? And we'll leave that like that for now. Now put my guillotine to one side. We need it again later to do the background piece, but we'll worry about that at the end. So I'm going to put the black piece to one side with my guillotine because that's going to be sort of the backing. If you have a look at mine, when I'd finished, I actually just backed it onto black cardstock. So that's my black piece of card at the back, and that's why I trimmed that 1/4 inch off, so that I can leave the black piece the 8 1/4 and I've got a nice border. But we'll do that at the end, and if we do run out of time, that bit's easy enough to stick on at the end. The other piece of cardstock, the other piece of watercolour, I'll come to in a second. What I want you to do first with these two is literally stick them together, because I want to create, so because we're going to be putting a lot of liquid elements on here, so with the texture paste, the paints, all the bits and pieces, two together just made it that little bit stronger. So I'm literally going to use my Collal glue, all right, and I'm going to coat all one side of it and get these stuck together so that they can be drying off. So literally all the way around the edge. And if I'm doing anything like this where I'm sticking two pieces together that are exactly the same size, just a little tip to seal your edges. So I'm going to plenty in there in the middle. And then what I tend to do is just round the edge is take that glue just right off the edge of the card, particularly in the corners, literally just feathering it off the edge to make sure that that glue, you want the edges to seal when you're sticking these two together. So I'm just going to go all around 4 sides, just feathering that glue out. And as I say, pay particular attention to your corners so that they're not going to lift. Okay, and then I've got my cloth handy at the side of me, my beloved little cloth, just to wipe that excess off on. And then what I tend to do is stand them up, pop them together, give them a good tap on the short side, give them a good tap on the long side, and you should find that they line up perfectly. So that's job number 1. Just give it a little press. Okay. And because we've feathered that glue out, I know then that all 4 corners are nicely stuck down and everything is together. If for any reason you've not quite cut them right or they've not lined up properly, you can always take your scissors and trim any bits that aren't quite lined up. So if you've got a little bit running off, just trim it off with your scissors, don't worry about it. So we're going to end up then with that piece that measures 8 inches by 10.5, and it's double to give it some sort of substance. And this is going to be our main piece that we work on. Okie dokes. So I'm going to do the next layer as well, and then I'll give you some time just to make sure everybody's caught up. I want to try and get to the texture paste layer of this quite quickly because obviously there's some drying time involved with mixed media. Now I asked you to pop your heat tool on your list just in case we need to force anything dry, but the quicker I can get to this stage we can pop it to one side to start drying off. So step number 2, I asked you to choose a piece of 12 by 12 paper, and this is purely to start building up a background. You won't actually see that much of it when we're finished, it's just there for a little bit of effect. Now I've got the remaining piece that I actually tore my piece off for the original one that's on here. So in the background here you can just see little elements of it peeking out in places just to add that little bit more interest. Okay, so I'm going to tear this one again now to do the same. So literally what I want to take up is probably about 2/3 of your piece, and you want a piece that's going to fit sort of down the centre here like this, with about 1 inch or so, maybe 1.25 inch gap at each side, so there's no exact science with it. I'm going to pop that layer on there, I'm going to look roughly where I want it to be, and I'm just going to tear any old shape in and out, doesn't want to be straight, in and out, just to get that edging on it, okay? Just little sort of backwards and forwards. It doesn't matter if that white core shows because we're going to cover that. Tear it all the way down and you've got that spare piece there. And you can see how I've got sort of like, now that's a little bit wide in places, so I'm just going to come again down here where it's gone a bit wider and just take it in a bit further. And it wants, as I say, to be about 2/3 of your piece of base cardstock. So I'm just going to take that edge off there, that's better. So that we've got a piece like that with a white strip at each side. Okay,
Great.
And then when we've got that piece, we're going to use the same collal glue to stick this down. Now mine's a wee bit longer because this was a 12 by 12 piece and we've trimmed this down to 10.5. You're going to have a little bit of overlap at each side, but don't worry about that. Just stick it down and then we'll trim this off rather than trying to get it to the right size. If you're anything like me, I cut it a bit short and I've got a gap. So if you do it this way, you can then trim off the excess. So turn it over, pop your glue. I'm just going to leave a little bit at the end there because I know that this is a bit longer than my piece of watercolour card. Glue in there. Again, I'm going to do that same trick where I just feather this out to make sure that that edge is stuck down, just on the long sides this time. Okie dokes, and then I'm just going to pop that right in the middle with a bit overhanging top and bottom. Yeah, no exact science, just so that you've got a bit of a white strip down either side, and when you're happy with it, you can seal that down. Okay. And then I'm going to turn it over. There's a little bit out with my glue there, so I'm just going to get rid of that excess. And then take my scissors and just use the scissors buttered up against your cardstock here. And I find that much easier than measuring it in the first place and trying to get it lined up. Right, so that's that bit. And that's the next bit. Just keep your scissors at a slight angle away from the cardstock and then you'll not cut into your cardstock. And then you can see there we've got that sort of next piece. Now these pieces are scrap. I'm going to pop those down in the bin. Just make sure that I've got no residue on my scissors. Okay. So I think we should all be good so far. And I want to do another layer. I'm going to keep going with it. If I'm going too fast for you, let us know in those comments and we can take a little break. But what I want to try and do is get as far as the texture paste on here, as I say, so that we can then put it to one side to dry. Then we'll take a break and then we'll start with the next bit. So what we done next then, I asked you to pop some white gesso on your list. Now I use the Pebeo one. Doesn't matter if yours is a different brand. If you haven't got gesso, you could use white acrylic paint. So lots of different ways of doing it. It is just like an undercoat, a primer. And what we're going to do is take a little bit out onto, now I've just got, because I'm sort of working in the studio today, I've just grabbed a little bit of acetate to help with cleanup. So at home you should be okay on your glass mat. So I'm just going to get rid of that piece that's formed a skin. Don't need that bit in there. Come off, that's it. And you only need a little bit for this. And what we're going to do is take a brush. I've chosen a flat one, but again, it doesn't matter if it's a round one. Okay, so whichever way. We're going to take a little bit of the gesso. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, if you find it's sometimes easier to turn your piece around. And what I'm going to do is just come in from the edges, just very, very slightly. And I'm wanting to sort of partly seal the edge and partly disguise the edge. So it sort of blends it in with the background. It's fading it out into that background. So all the way down one side, I'm not taking it out to the edge of the cardstock, just over where that seam is. Okay, all the way down that side. If you've got any dark areas on your paper, you can actually pop a bit of gesso just to fade those back a bit so that they're not too dark. And then I'm going to spin it all the way round, so 360 turn, and then I'm going to do the same down the other side. So if you've got that feathered edge where it's torn, it's a great way of sort of blending that edge into your project. And it also helps, as I say, seal the edges there. So I'm literally just coming from just off the edge against where we've torn it. And you'll think, well, it's barely even showing, Jan. You can't even see it. Well, that's the idea. All right, so it still looks as if it's white at either side, but it's just softened those edges and brought them into sort of that piece. Okay, now all your gesso and everything is water-based, so I've always got with me a cup of water that I'm just going to give that a quick rinse in and leave it in there for next time. Just going to need to use that a bit more. So that's the gesso layer. So I'm hoping that you're still with me, because I want to get this next layer on, which is going to be the texture paste. So we put the 2 layers together to start off with to give us a bit more sort of robust background, because we're going to do so much to it. We've stuck the torn pages, all right, and then we've just feathered those edges in, and the gesso should dry pretty quickly because we've only put such a fine layer on. So again, pop it the right way up there, and then I'm going to take the trellis stencil out of the Happiness Bloom set, which is our background and focal stamp sets. Now, if you haven't got this particular set, like I said earlier, any stencil will do. Doesn't matter what pattern's on it. If you've got one with dots on, absolutely fine. If you've got one with a different pattern, absolutely fine. I'm literally just going to take this one out of here. You can see where I've been using it because I've still got my stencil tape on. Because this one has 2 different designs on, I've literally just covered where the flowers finish so that I don't accidentally run into that flower edge. I just want this trellis work, and we're literally going to put that in areas, certain areas. Okay, so for this one I asked you to pop on your list, whoops, not the gesso, Jan, we want some modelling paste. George is laughing at me now because I'm gesso Jan. Again, mine are all Pebeo products. It doesn't matter what the make is. Sometimes it's called structure paste. So if yours says structure paste on it, it's the same thing. Mine says modelling paste. The whole idea is that this dries raised. So when we lift it through that stencil, you're going to get the same depth as the stencil when it dries. So again, I'm going to bring my piece of acetate in here just to try and keep it a little bit more tidy. She starts out well with all good intentions. By the end of it, you watch.
You're going to have paint and glitter all over you.
So a bit more of this, because we're going to actually use this on all of the, all the way down. So again, what I want you to think about, we need our palette knife as well. So again, it doesn't matter if you've done a little like mine. Sometimes I've got a metal one at home, sometimes I use that. Some people like to use a credit card, an old credit card to scrape it in. Some people have got a proper tool that you scrape it in with, absolutely fine. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go, and I don't want you to think about this too much. I'm just going to lay it over, and I want to put texture paste across that join. So I'm just going to put, first of all, a piece here that goes partly on the paper and partly over to the cardstock, but not right to the edge. So I'm laying my stencil down, I'm grabbing a bit of the texture paste, and it's just like buttering your toast. But again, I'm not going to fill in any certain part of it. I'm not worried if there's gaps in it. I literally just want to get some on there and drag it through that stencil, and then gently lift it, and you can see now that we've got some texture going on. Okay, and then I'm going to pop it in another place on here, and I'm going to do the same again. So rather than going opposite, I've pulled it down a little bit, so we're sort of staggering it. And I'm going to do the same again. Slightly on the paper and slightly off onto that white cardstock, because some of this will show at the end and some of it will be sort of under the paint. Okay, so again, just drag it through. Don't think about, oh, well, I've got a bit missing there. Don't worry. Again, here. And then again, I'm going to stagger it again, come a little bit here, and I'm going to get same again. So we're doing that same technique, slightly over the edge of the seam there where we tore it, slightly onto the paper, scrape it through, lift it off, and then I'm going to do one last piece at the bottom. So again, last bit here. I'm just going to use up what I've got on my piece of acetate there, and then just gently lift it off. Okay, now when you get to the bottom, if you get any on the edge, I've just run my finger along the edge to make sure it's smooth at the top and bottom there. So you can see there where I've got 4 sections, random texture paste, and I wanted to get this far so that we can then put this over to one side to dry. Now, as far as your stencil's concerned, in an ideal world, you would drop this into a water bath. But because we've not got a water bath here, I'm just going to take a wet wipe and literally run it over my stencil. Even the modelling paste is all water-based stuff. literally take it off here and then do the other side. And that's enough for now to stop that setting on my stencil. Okay, so just pop that to one side to dry, and then I'm going to stop there because that needs to dry. We'll go on to the next bit shortly, but I know I've probably gone a bit faster than what you guys have done at home. So I want you all to catch up, and then we'll go on to the next stage. So Becky, I'm going to hand back over.
Thanks.
And let you do a bit over there, and then I'll get the next bit ready over here.
So whilst everything's drying for you at home or you're adding your extra layers, don't forget you can share those pictures with us on social. It's also a great time to check out your baskets if you have got anything in there. I will let you know that our Cosmic Shimmer, especially the brand new ones, are very popular, so do feel free to do some. Before I show you those, let me talk to you about some of the stencils that the wonderful Jan's been working with, and this is a collection you can treat yourself to today. So what I'm going to bring to you is your background stencil. So if you are brand new and you've never seen these before, let me just explain to you. This is the packaging you'll get. This is what you'll get inside it, and these are examples of your stamps and your backgrounds that are used from the pack. So in here we've got the beautiful Make-A-Wish. You've got that wonderful dandelion effect on there, perfect for this time of year if you have seen any of those in your garden. I've been growing some specifically to feed for my tortoise. Yes, tortoises love them. Anyway, this is Life's a Journey. I have to say, for anyone with wanderlust, I think this is perfect. Anybody who's been missing travelling, anyone who maybe had plans to go away, what a perfect one this is for you, for all of those wanderlust lovers. You've got plenty on here, your sentiments including, but not limited to, bon voyage. As well as that, we're bringing to you in this collection your It's Time. This for me has got a wonderful sort of Victoriana, almost steampunk-esque feel to it. I love the fact that you've got that sort of Alice in Wonderland almost timekeeping detail. I also really like that you've got almost this rattan feel here, this woven detail. Any of you who are into weaving at the moment, this would be a great one to reflect it in your cards and your mixed media crafts. Then I'm bringing to you anyone inspired by nature. Yeah, I reckon there's a few of us, right? If you are inspired by nature, then this is definitely a one for you. It is your Back to Nature collection. You've got loads in here, including your wood effect, but also different types of leaves, almost like pressed leaves and flowers there. You can, of course, use them in these sort of natural autumnal tones if you wanted to give that autumn feeling. But ultimately, this is all year round. Use really bright, fresh greens that we've got, and you're going to be able to get that wonderful springtime effect. In fact, one of my Cosmic Shimmers that's coming up for you in a little bit is a frosted jade. Imagine this in a frosted jade. How fresh and vibrant is that going to look with the texture? It's going to look great. That's on its way in a bit. Sneaky peek. I've also got for you your Life Happens here. This has got that really wonderful urban edge feel to it. Great for maybe if you've got any houses, or you've got the little village collection that we do. Imagine doing this texture on the outside of your little village houses or the church. It could look great. As well as that, we're bringing to you your Write Your Own Story. For any of you who love poetry, maybe you've got someone in your family who likes writing, whether that be online or maybe they're writing a book. I love with this that you're getting those ink splodges. I use textures like that a lot in my artwork. So a really lovely one there. If you really wanted to, you could of course pick out individual letters, so it's really handy on that, and one I've not seen anything like it before. Happiness Blooms for all of you garden lovers, or just for those of you who wish to send flowers without sending flowers, with lots of sentiments in here, including but not limited to Thinking of You. And last but by no means least, we've got Music and Lyrics, which I'm almost sure is the name of a film. Has it got Drew Barrymore in it? I'm sure it is. And she's like in love with this fella, and she writes some music and he writes the lyrics. I mean, that's the gist of it. It's not the full summary. Anyway, Music and Lyrics for, is it Hugh Grant? Yeah, is he the one who he's a bit like that? Great Hugh Grant impression, I know. Yeah, Music and Lyrics for any of you who love maybe whether you play the piano or the guitar or the kazoo, whatever it is, this would be perfect for you. And again, lots of different ones, including Love Is a Song. That is your selection. Massive discount there. As you can see, you're saving way over £25 or over $32. So grab that moment whilst you can. Cosmic Shimmer. I've got so much of it on the way for you. So if you do want to grab it, then absolutely do. I'm going to start off by showing you some of the 3D accents, if I may. And we are going to be using some of these elements throughout of the show. If you've not seen Cosmic Shimmer before, where have you been? It's a brand and a half, which really gives, it's kind of creative quality for crafters, for artists, for people who make for fun or make to sell. It really is for everyone. And these are your 3D accents. Now these ones, you've got the pearl finish to them, which means they have an element of pearlescence to them. So this one here is your dark bronze colour, great for any vintage. I've also got for you your old gold. I love the old gold colour. I think that it's so versatile and it really is a bang on trend for this year. As well as that, this is going to be one of the very, very popular ones, given that blue is the most popular colour in the UK. This is cobalt blue. Now remember, it's 3D accents you get in here. You can use it with loads of different types of cards. You can use it with glitters. You can use it with so much. It's got that adhesive element to it, but it's also got that wonderful finish to it as well with that glitter element. £3.50, by the way, these individually, or $5.99. I'm then going to bring to you your titanium. So this one is a beauty because if you love those silver colours, this is absolutely the one for you. It's a really unique effect there, and it would go great with my next colour actually. How many times, if you're on Instagram, have you seen these colours being used? They're used everywhere, aren't they? They're used all over. So this is the colour I'm bringing to you now. If you follow the likes of Pantone colours, Disney colours, it's almost similar to millennial pink. It's a really wonderful, that one. And then we have also got for you, I'm just double checking, it's this one, isn't it? Yep, Frosted Sky for you today. This one, it looks quite delicate in the pot, but it's, for me, almost like a true pearl. It's very, very pretty indeed. And then last but not least, a great one for you if you do get inspired by Mother Nature. It is the Holly Sparkle, and you can actually see some of the sparkle elements in there. Really wonderful and fresh colours. Now I will just say to you, there are so many different and new colours to see, and I've got new elements. I've got new chalks coming up. I've got the new jewels coming up. If you love a bit of shimmer, if you are a bling queen or king, oh, you're going to be in love with those. They're on the way for you. Don't forget, they are all on the web, so do feel free to go and shop the web if you so wish. So those are the treats that we've got for you now. How are you looking over there, Jan?
Oh, we're good. Those pearl accents, Becky, are great for making, where I've actually used proper adhesive gems on my project, but they're great for making your own little pearl embellishments, and you can either do them straight onto your project, or if you do them onto a piece of wax paper, you can let them dry. They're dry, domed, and then you can take them off and stick them on with glue, as well as adding any kind of 3D element to your sort of finished projects. So coming back to our craft along then, I just want you to leave that other piece to one side, and we're going to create the circles now. We're going to die cut these circles that I've got, including the one to make the frame. So I asked you to get some nested circles, and I gave you a rough idea of the size. So if it's our actual nested circles that we're using, whoops, if I can just get mine off. From the outside, 1, 2, 3, 4, I've used 5, 6 and 7. All right, which have given me those rough measurements. Now, if yours aren't quite the same size, it doesn't matter. You just want 3, sort of a smaller, medium and a larger one, okay? And what we're going to do, I've still got mine taped together from when I was working. So the 2 largest ones I've taped together, and we're going to cut those together to make a frame, all right? So what I'm going to do is just pop this to give me an idea of how much cardstock. And this is my 3rd piece of watercolour card that we popped to one side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut myself a little square, and I want 4 of these. So I tend to cut all my cardstock first, and then we're going to run it through the mini and create those circles. So 1, 2, 3. And again, I was tempted to sort of ask you to get these ready, But then I thought, well, you know, it's often useful to see that thought process as to where we got to and how we arrived at something. So that's my 4. I'm also going to get the middle bit out of there, which is going to give me that sort of second layer. So I only actually want 1 large one, which I'll come back to, and then 3 of the middle ones. This is going to take care of the 4 layers for the frame and at least 3 of those middle ones. So that's that bit sorted. We'll cut them in a second. And then I want 2 of that smaller circle. So again, I tend to cut all my cardstock down to start with. And then I'm going to need 1 just of this outside piece on its own. So I'm going to cut a 5th piece. And I'll go through these again with you because I went through that quite quick. Keep the scrap. So what I've done then is the 2 that are the 2 largest ones, I've stuck together to create a frame the same distance, and I've cut 5 pieces of watercolour card big enough to fit these on. All right, now we're going to do 4 of them as the frame. So I'm going to fetch my little mini into play. I've got my plate for the mini and literally pop the cardstock in here, pop those on, and we're going to pass that through on 4 pieces of the card. So number 1, and as I say, I wanted to do this with you just to show you how I actually arrive at things. So that's given us 1 medium circle there, all right, and it's also given us 1 frame there as well. So put those to create yourself a little collection, and then that bit's actually waste, and then I'm going to do the same again, and we need to do this 4 times. So that's number 2, which will give us a second frame and a second medium size. Okay, and then we're going to keep going, and we're going to do the same again on another piece. So I hope you're keeping up with me. If I'm going too fast, just let us know in those comments. So I'm literally just doing the same thing over and over now to get 4 frames. And as I say, I did wonder about whether to ask you to do this and have these ready, but then I thought for anybody that's just starting out, if you weren't sure how we'd arrived at them, it's not really very helpful. So that's number 3, and then the last one on there is number 4. So I'm going to stick all those 4 layers of frame together to give us sort of almost like a little mock chipboard piece. Again, I'd got chipboard pieces in my stash, and I thought, well, if people haven't got them, then that's not fair because you haven't got the stuff that you need. So just showing you how to make these elements. So you should have 4 now of the frame. Okay, and we're going to use those and pop those all together so that you've got some sort of thickness to them. And we've also got me gubbins back. She's talking in my ear. She says, what's that word Jan uses? She's talking about my gubbins tray. My gubbins,
yeah, I was trying to spell it out then, but it's quite hard.
So I've got the 3 medium ones, all right? We've got a spare there. And then I'm going to take that middle one out. Now I've cut the frames. I'm going to get rid of the middle nesting circle. Okay, pop that to one side, and I just want 1 of that large one on its own. So again, I'm going back through, and I keep changing which side of my little folder that I'm using. Okay, and that gives me my largest circle there. All right, and then the last one to do is we need 2 of that smallest circle. So again, just pop them in and pass them through that mini. So you should end up with 4 of the thin frames. By default, you will get your 3 medium circles, 2 small circles, and then we put that largest one through again on its own to get 1 large circle. So I'll line all these up now that I've cut them and show you what we should end up with. So all the frames are, unless you want to keep those, I'm just going to pop those in the waste. I'm going to pop my mini back out of the way because he's done his job now. So I've actually got 1 large one. I've got 3 medium, which were the centre of my frames, and I've got 2 small, and then I've got the 4 little thin frames that we've cut. And I'm going to use my, this is actually my, I asked you to pop tacky glue on your list. All right. This is just decanted into that applicator. If you haven't got the applicator, you can use it straight from the bottle, but just be aware that it does come out a bit fast on there. So if you've got the little applicator, it just sort of calms it down a little bit. And what I'm going to do to get these done and stick is just literally stick all 4 of them together. So I'm going to use the applicator to just run a bead of glue all the way around the edge of one of the circles, and then literally stick one of the others on top. And because they've been die cut, you know that those are going to line up perfectly. Now, for future reference, if you're doing anything like this, if you've got a chipboard piece or a little MDF frame or anything like that, then they're great for this kind of project. It does add a bit of weight, so that's something you need to be aware of. All right, but just for this purpose, I thought if you haven't got anything like that, this shows you how you can actually achieve that look. So again, on top of the one I've just stuck together, I'm just going to run that bead of glue round again and stick the next one on. And again, just edge it into place there, and they line up perfectly. And then the last one, same again. So it's very repetitive what we're doing. Okay. And then that last one on top. And then what I did, I was pop something heavy on top of here just to keep them nice and flat and just encourage that stick. So we can pop those to one side until we need them. Have I got anything heavy, one asks? I must have got something heavy somewhere.
Book or?
Not to worry. If you've got something heavy, you can stand it on top of them just to keep them all together. But I'm going to pop that to one side as well. And then come back to those other circles. So, is there anybody brave enough that's actually crafting along with me then out there? Our George is saying that people are going to say, which is a great idea because you can actually do that in your own time then. But I know there's going to be 1 or 2 of you out there that's crafting along with me. So I'm going to pop those to one side, that's those done with. And then again, we want some texture paste. So I wanted to get this done so that they can then go to dry as well. So the other one from that background stencil and focal stamps that we've just had a look at was It's Time. And I want that lovely stencil out of there again. I'm going to use this element here just to give it a slight difference to what we've got on the background, okay? So what I want you to do then, and I'm going to use a bit of scrap card on here again to just try and save on some of the mess. In fact, if I put it on a different colour, you can see what I'm doing there. So just to pop a piece of card underneath. So we need our modelling paste again. We need our circles that we've cut out. And again, I'm just going to pop some modelling paste out of here again. Just pop some onto that acetate. As I say, this is all in an attempt to try and stay clean. I've got the palette knife again. But what I want to do is put this about 2/3. I want to leave an element here that's clear. So again, I'm going to pop it across like so and leave an element of the cardstock exposed. Take some of the modelling paste again. And literally, don't be too precious about it. Just drag it through. Whoops, I'm having issues with my piece of acetate. There we go. Just drag it through that stencil. Doesn't matter if you miss bits. As I say, it doesn't have to be. That's the best thing about mixed media. Doesn't have to be perfect, and lift it off. And again, these want to go to one side to dry. So I'm going to pop them further up there. And we're going to do that on each one. So again, medium one now. Leave a little bit spare. Okay, and just drag it through. So don't worry if you're not quite with me. We will recap it for you. I just want to get to this point where we've got all the texture paste on so it can be drying. If there's any overhanging on the edge, just run your finger around to make sure it's smooth on the edge and then pop them to one side. So we've got all 3 of the medium ones. All right, dragging it through, leaving a little gap. And this is what's going to create that layer of texture. And again, if there's any around that edge, just smooth it off. I told you I was going to end up getting mucky look. And again, I'm doing exactly the same on each one. So a little bit of paste through that stencil, leave a little bit of the plain card exposed just for the sort of contrast, and then smooth that edge. We've even gone on to another finger now, look. And then I've just got the 2 small ones left, and then we will have a recap. So don't worry if there's anything that you've missed. I will go back through it there. So again, it's just as if you're buttering your toast there. Drag it through, lift it off, bring your finger around there just to smooth it off, and then we've got one last one there. Hey, I've done well with my paste today. I usually end up putting way too much out and then trying to think, right, I'm going to have to put that on another piece now because I don't like to waste it.
Yeah.
So again, lift it off. Whoops. Just check that edge is smooth, and then we get them all to one side to make sure that they're okay. And I'm going to do the stenciling exactly the same way. So I'll leave it over the cardstock where I've been working this time. Give it a rub either with a wet wipe or a damp cloth. I know some of you use the microfiber cloths, they will work the same. And just take off some of the excess so that it's not actually building up on your stencil. Okay, and then I'm going to pop that to one side. And as I say, I wanted to get to a point where we'd got that drying. And my producer's just saying, I like this bit on here. And this, I wouldn't be throwing this away. I tend to clean things off on cardstock so that, again, it sort of starts the next background something, so you could do something on there, on top of there. So she's getting carried away with it all now. I'm turning her into a mixed media artist. She just suggested putting pixie powders on, which would look fabulous. Okay? Right, so again, I'm going to leave it there so that people can catch up, and I'll just do a quick recap before we hand back over to Becky. So first of all, we took those sized circles and cut 4 of the frame, and we've stuck all 4 of those to give us quite a decent thickness of embellishment. It's much more robust now than just one layer. And then I've put that to dry. Then we had one large one, which was this outside layer. It's the same side as the outside layer of the frame. And then we had 3 middle ones, which came out when we cut the frame anyway. And then we had 2 of the smallest size. And on each one of those, I've just literally used that stencil from the It's Time collection and dragged some of that modelling paste through again onto 2/3 of it and left one bit plain. And that's as far as we've got with that next stage. And this all needs to dry. If need be, we can force it with the heat tool if we get to a point where we need to come back to it. I can see my original piece. If I bring you this one back in, it's actually shiny where it's wet. But I can see in places now where it's starting to go dull, which means it is drying. But obviously I've got a lot of studio lights here. So yours might need just a little run over with the heat tool when we get there. So I'm going to leave it there again so that people can catch up, Becky.
Lovely.
All right.
Let's have a little natter to you all, shall we? Pam's in saying, Sue's in saying, just had a CC delivery, which means I'm not waiting for anything. So it must be time to buy some more.
Sounds right.
Yeah,
sounds
great.
good.
Yeah, that's
I like
perfect.
That.
You've got to have something to look forward to, Sue.
Of course you have.
Renee is in saying, have a lot of fun using the stamps and love watching Jan. Kathy's in saying, hi everyone, watching on my phone in our car whilst my husband drives us to my mum's house. I'm going to see 2 of my sisters for the first time since Christmas 2019. I can't wait. Oh,
it's
Kathy,
been so
hubby
hard,
and fam.
hasn't it?
Yeah, it really
has been a hard couple of years.
Yeah, that is going to be such a wonderful reunion. You enjoy it and keep up the good work on the driving hubster. I've got Pamela in, being very honest, saying I'm doing the craft along, so I won't be chatty today.
Oh, bless.
I hope it's going well. Don't forget, you can send in pictures, even if it comes towards the end of the show in sort of, an hour and 10 minutes, you've not quite finished it. Just take a picture of where it's up to, send it in, and you can do it that way. Anne is in talking about dandelions with a fun fact, and I love a fun fact. She's saying dandelions are not native to North America. They were brought over from Europe as a food crop.
Oh,
there you go. See?
Every day's a school day.
Hey up, I love a good learn.
Yeah.
We've got Michelle in saying, I'm saving the show. Karen is saying, I'm watching the craft along. I like to see what's being made. And then later, I'll watch it and I can stop the video and go back what I've missed.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Don't forget, you can save the show. It's really easy to do so. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can save it there. You can save it on our website as well. It's really easy to do. And don't forget to click that subscribe button, the little bell button and the subscribe button, because then you get notifications when these wonderful shows are on. Michelle's had a good thought actually, saying, I'm thinking, since I used to paint and still have paint and canvases, I could incorporate paper crafts onto my canvas and put shapes and splats here and there.
Absolutely. That's what I want people to have a go at and have a play with. Use what you've got in your stash. Don't worry if it's not the same as what I'm using. Just substitute things in. So canvases are absolutely perfect for mixed media. But obviously I didn't want to go that far today because I know a lot of people haven't got them and we've not actually got them on the show. So that's why I stuck with the cardstock, but they make a great background for mixed media projects. Absolutely.
Perfect. Deborah's in saying, unfortunately, Jan, I'm working and primarily listening today.
Oh.
Hope it's going all right. Don't forget that you can watch it back. Mary's saying, watching intently, so I'm not commenting much. Also, in the middle of laundry. Boo.
Oh.
I'll craft along later. I love Jan doing mixed media.
Oh, thank you.
We've had a couple of questions,
Yep.
both from Pamela actually, saying, can I get the circle sizes again?
Yes.
And did you just use the textured paste on the medium circles, or did you use it on all of them?
I did it on all of them. So you should end up with one large one, 3 medium ones and 2 small ones. So there are 6 altogether. And I did the texture paste, the same technique on all 6 of them. And the circles, if you're using our nesting dies, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 5, 6 and 7 from our nesting dies. Okay. Yes, George is just saying, I think I put the measurements on the shopping list, didn't I? Yeah, I think there were 2 and, they were all 2 and something. I think it was 2 and 7/8, 2 and a half and 2 and 1/8, if I remember rightly. We'll just have a quick check. Yeah, so the large one was 2 and 7/8, so almost 3 inches. The middle one was 2 and a half, and the little one was 2 and 1/8, or almost 2 inches. So as long as you've got 3 different levels, it doesn't matter if they're not exactly the same. If yours measures 3 1/4 inches and then 2 3/4, doesn't matter. As long as you've got 3 different sizes, just to create that effect.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Aisha's in saying, hello, Becky, love the dress, thank you. And saying, hello, Jan, ready to watch and learn.
Oh.
Well, we're definitely learning today. I've got Jan Robbins in saying, hi, Jan and Becky, crafting along with you.
Excellent.
What? Ravello. Hang on. Ravello.
Ravello.
Ravello. Is it Italian? Because I've just made it sound it if it's not. If it's somewhere near Morecambe, I've really just done that some justice. Ravello. Anyway, Eileen's in with a question. I would like to try with stencils for the first time. What should I buy? Great question.
If you have our inks, the Spectrum Noir inks, they will go through a stencil, all right? So as a basic level, I would start off maybe with some ink. So whatever you've got in your stash already, have a go with one of the sponge applicators. So literally, with the little sponge applicators, or you could use the finger daubers to literally just pop your colour, either circles through or pounce it through. You can also use the little blending eggs that we sell. Those will work with a stencil as well. If you want to go on to other mediums through your stencil, obviously I've got texture paste here, and then we're going to use paint over the top of it. We've got lots of coloured texture paste. So if you didn't want to add the paint to it, you can start out with the coloured texture paste, or you can colour your own texture paste, modelling paste, structure paste, whatever it's called. For example, my white one that I was using, if I wanted to colour this with maybe some of our sparkle ink, I would end up with a sparkle medium that I can then pull through a stencil. So there are lots and lots of different ways. But if you're just starting out, try it first with a bit of ink and see how you get on. You can do all the same colour, or you can blend it, sort of ombre effects or different colours. See how you get on with it, and then progress to adding sort of more of the textured mediums through it. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much for showing us that. I hope that's answered your questions. Do keep those ones coming through. And if you are planning on getting into your stenciling, good luck, enjoy it. You're going to have so much fun, you really are. Let me bring to you some more treats. If you have just tuned in, hi, nice to see you. It's Jan and Becky here. And we have got so many cosmic shimmer treats on for you this afternoon, including some brand new goodies. I want to bring to you now, if I may, some of your matte chalk paints.
Specifically asked for these, Becky.
Tell me why, please, Jan.
I just love chalk of any,
Yeah.
because I love the pigment inks for that reason. Our Spectrum Raw pigment inks, because they dry with that chalky finish. It's got that shabby chic look to it.
Yeah.
So this is sort of a paint version of the matte chalk polish that we had on the show. So if you prefer the paints, it's actually more of like an acrylic paint substance, but it's water-based again. And like I've said many, many times, the minute you have a water-based product, it opens up a world of what you can do with it. Again, colouring your texture paste and things like that.
It is
Some
really
fabulous colours.
You're going to have so much fun with this. And I'm looking through, because you were mentioning the polishes, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek now because I can't keep a secret. But how great are those together for like a shabby chic wedding or like a floral design? Oh, I love it. So I'm bringing to you your Azure Mist here. Just to let you know, all of these individually are £3.75 or $6.75. I'm going to bring to you another colour now. And one thing I will note, just in case you are new to this, is on the lids of them, they will have a colour in it. It looks slightly different initially to, let me show you this. Let me just, anyone who knows me as a crafter will be going, oh my gosh now, because I am a mucky crafter. But can you see how that is a little bit lighter? It's well, it's just shaded slightly differently. The colour on the lid is very much more matching when it dries, kind of the effect that it gives you when it dries. So if you look, you know, sometimes when you go down to your local DIY and you look at the colour on the lids and then you open the paint, you go, that looks nothing like it. It's more like it when it dries. So that's the kind of almost, and it kind of gives you that almost matte effect, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It's lovely.
Beautiful.
So this one here is your mulled wine. I don't know why I said it like that, although that does sound a bit like me after I've had a mulled wine. Orchid I've also got for you here. This has got a really wonderful sort of this season colour, I would say. It's a beauty of a look. I'll show you the end of it again there. I think it reminds me very much of the orchids, but of course cherry blossoms. Let's go. Look at that. Oh, two rose we have for you here. This one has got a really wonderful, optimistic colouring to it, if that makes sense. Can you think of any flowers in your garden that are this colour? I can think of quite a few. Has anyone got any magnolias in the garden? You know, the centre of a magnolia almost has this colour, doesn't it? Looks beautiful. As well as that, I'm bringing to you your white. This is going to be so usable time and time again. We are also bringing your red velvet. Red velvet would be perfect if you're going to be using it on brick, sort of bricks textures, maybe the brick stamps that we did for you before. Then I'm bringing to you your Shy Violet. Now this one has got such a delicacy to it. It is wonderful. If you pair this alongside with white, you can really make it pop. Pair it with a different pink, it's going to tone it down. Very versatile, that one indeed. We're also bringing to you your spiced raspberry. This for me has got a really lovely almost cocktail colour to it. I think it could almost give you that wonderful effect of sort of a cosmopolitan, it's beautiful feel. And then one of those colours that you will use over and over and over and over, it is your umber. It's a beautiful effect that you're going to get with that, and you are going to be using it a lot. This is a colour that you'll use a lot in steampunk amongst others. So there is just one colour that I didn't have a sample of, and it's honeysuckle, which looks like this. So if you do want to grab that, then you absolutely can. Hopefully you're up to date, you've checked out your basket, and you're ready to carry on with the crafting. Let's head on over to do more with Jan.
Right, so before we go back to that original piece, I can just see that mine's still a little bit wet. I'm just going to get the butterfly stamped out, and then we might need to take the heat tool to the texture paste at the beginning to get cracking. So I've got this one in my stash, and I love this particular set. I love everything about it, but the butterfly, really, really useful. It's a nice size, and it's called Beautiful You. So I put this on the list, but I know you've all got butterfly stamps out there. So if you don't have this particular one, just substitute it for one that you've got in your stash. So I'm just going to take that butterfly and make sure again that we have a waterproof ink, because we're literally going to colour this in with those water-based products. So literally pick him up, and I've got my waterproof Noir Black, because again, when we add the water-based products to it, we don't want the line art to move, so we need a waterproof ink. So again, just to ink him up, and I've picked the black because I'm going to use some black throughout the design. Now, you've often heard me say that I normally prefer the flagstone to stamp with, but because I've got black in our actual project, I've gone for black for the stamp as well. So we're just going to stamp that one out and get him ready. Okay. And then next time we go to a break with Becky, I want you to cut that one out. So I'll not do it now, all right, because I'm just conscious that we've already had the first hour of the show. It's just flown by and we've still got a lot to do. So next time I flick back to our Becky to just have a little catch up over there, I want you to cut this out with your little snips right next to the black line.
Okay.
So no white exposure on this one, just right next, but I'll leave that for now.
Okay.
So that's him done at the ready. So that first piece that we started with is drying nicely, but I've still got some little bits that I can see that are wet. So if you have a heat tool handy, I'm literally now going to force the rest of this dry, just so that we can do that next part. And the next part is adding the colour to it. So we're going to use the metallic gilding polish as a paint. Now I chose the teal one. So if you're working in a different, which is why I chose my backing paper with these elements of teal in. If you've got a different colour, again, we can do exactly the same technique, it just looks different from the colour scheme at the end. So all I've done is just give that a blast with my heat tool and see if we can get that dry. I can see that my little circles are drying as well, but again, we can always force those dry with the heat tool if we get to that point. But the hardest part with mixed media is knowing how long we needed, because there is so much wet product that we're using. So that doesn't look too bad now. I'm just going to test a little tiny bit of it. And yeah, we look good to go. So it needs to be pretty much dry, otherwise it's going to start running when we add the paint to it. Now don't worry if your card's warped a little bit, we can straighten that out when we're finished. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take my gilding polish. So as I say, I chose the teal one. So it's Ocean Teal. This was on the original show. All right, now I know a lot of you went mad when we brought these products to you originally. I specifically didn't use one of the new colours because I knew you guys wouldn't have had a chance to get them yet. This one, Judges is just telling me that it's sold out, but we will be getting them back in, and we've got lots of other colours available as well. So because this is water-based, for those of you that haven't seen it before, it comes with an applicator in the top for you to be able to collect the product and apply it to your project. But I don't want to do that today. I want to use it as a paint. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit out of here and pop it. I'm going to pop it onto the acetate again in an attempt to stay tidy. Now if you choose to go with any of those paints today, so particularly Becky's shown you the chalk paints, we've also got shimmer paints. Now this is not the exact colour, but wow, look at that for a colour.
I love this colour.
Oh my goodness, let's have a look. This is Sky. So again, you could substitute something like this if you're wanting to buy today and craft along with us at a later date. If I just bring these two in as well, I'm just going to tease a little bit. Look at this. Do you know what this reminds me of, Becky?
Go on.
It reminds me of our Glitz and Glamour range of sparkle inks. These would work beautifully with them. It's the same sort of colour scheme in there.
It's great.
So yes, if you're looking at investing in those today, then they would do the same thing. Now, water misters, you've seen me use mine with just ordinary tap water in, and I'm literally going to spray a bit of water on here because I want to dilute this and make it a little bit more sort of runny. So again, I'm going to pop my paintbrush in and literally mush, for want of a better technical term, into the water. So just breaking up that polish so that it's a little bit more smooth, and it wants to be quite runny. All right, so it wants to be quite a wet consistency. So don't be afraid to put too much water. Okay, so again, I'm just going to add a little bit more gently so that it doesn't spray everywhere. And then what we're going to do a combination of paintbrush and paint with the water misters. Now I've also got one of our Spectrum Noir misters. Now this one's a bit more gentle. I find that this is quite directional, and when I did this one I ended up with it everywhere, so I'm going to swap to the little mister one, which literally is more of a fine mist rather than a directional spray. So I've got literally just water in here as well, and we're going to do a little bit of both. So what I want you to do is take some of the paint, start at the top of your project, and where I've got the texture paste, run some paint across the top. This looks as if it could do with being a little bit wetter. And then we're going to sort of, I want this to run down my project. So I'm going to spray from the top and literally wet it. Can you see how the paint's now starting to run?
Yeah.
It wants to be a little bit wetter, so don't be afraid to add some water to it. And where this has run down, you'll see now if you tip it, it'll go and start running between those grids on the texture paste. Okay, so just keep adding some paint in there, and the secret is to spray in the direction you want the paint to go. Can you see how it's pushing it along?
Yes.
And then let it run down. Now keep either a cloth or a piece of tissue handy, because if it goes too far and doesn't, you know, if it gets out of control, just dab it a little bit so that you're in control of it. But you can see how that's starting to feel and starting to fill some of those areas in. So adding this in, you can always add a bit more water out of your pot, and then again pushing it in the direction that you want it. Can you see how it's moving? And again, where you don't want it, just give it a quick dab. Now I'm going to do that over all the areas where we put the texture paste. So again, I'm going to go over that next piece, add some of the paint, and if it helps, turn your work. And again, I want this to go down, so I'm going to make sure that mine's facing the right way. It won't be the first time that I've had it the wrong way and sprayed myself in the eye, and I'm sure you can all associate. Yep. So, oh, it's gone in my eye because I've got the little thing facing me. But yeah, you're pushing that paint where you want it to go. And can you see how it's running? And it goes in between where the texture paste is. Again, keep that handy if it goes too far so that you don't get it out of control. And I'm going to do that over all the areas where we've got that texture paste. We can always add a bit more in at the end if the case may be. So again, I've put it on here. Turn your artwork round so that you've literally, I'm right-handed, so I'm spraying it literally across here. So again, it's running down into those little cracks and areas. Don't let it go too far. Don't let it get out of hand. Stay on top of it. Okay. And then I've got texture paste at this side here. So I'm literally going to pop some. I've not gone all the way to the edge. I'm just bringing it slightly off the edge of that paper where we had that join. And again, I'm going to push it down towards, and because I'm getting near the bottom now, I'm just going to hold it over my piece of acetate here so that any residue now drips back into that original paint. And again, just splodge it about. No skill involved. Wherever you want it to go, you can always go back and add a bit more in if you've got areas that you think are not quite filled in. And I actually want these to join up, so I'm now going to encourage this bit here to actually come towards that bit at the bottom. Just literally moving it around, adding the paint in there, because I want it to sort of join up now. But it's actually picking up the texture from that texture paste underneath. Okay, and the same at this side. I want this bit to dribble all the way down to the bottom. So the wetter the paint is in the first place, the more movement you will get on it. So again, just splodge it on and then make sure that this goes in the direction you want it to go in. Again, because I'm coming to the bottom, I'm going to let that drip. Okay, and then I want a little bit more here, just in that top section there, and I want a bit to come from the top here. So again, just to push it down and get it to run through those spaces, and then blot it if you've got too much going on. I'm actually letting it drip back onto my paint. Okay, and then when you've got to a point that you're happy with it, we can get that heat tool out again and we can dry it off. All right, so I'm going to take it to that stage now. I'm just going to dry now. I'm not going to do anything else but just dry, Becky. Okay. So if you want to have a little catch up again while I dry this off.
Whilst you are drying, as lovely Jan said earlier on, it's the sky colour that is not the same shimmer paint, but this is quite similar to it, isn't it?
It is, yes. That's more blue, whereas this is more turquoise. But as I say, some people might be working in pink, in orange, in yellow, in green, whatever. It doesn't really matter what the colour is, as long as it's your thing.
And would it do the same
yes,
technique
because
as you're
that's
doing now?
water-based, you'd be able to dilute it down and make it move like we have with this one.
So if you do want to grab that, it is the shimmer paint 50ml you've got, and this one is the sky colour. Loads of you are commenting on these. A few of you have also mentioned the violet colour, which has been really popular on our website right now. This is also available for you, and just in case you've not seen it properly before, it does end with a real shimmer. This is a tiny bit of picture for you, but just to show you there, it's got this wonderful shimmer to it, which just lasts in your pieces. £3.75 or $6.75 if you so wish. So do feel free to head on. There are some other colours that you might like to get. How do you feel about bronze? Yeah, we all love it, don't we? You've got bronze available on our website, 50ml again. We have also got for you the gold. You are gold for you too. If you do want to grab that one, then we're bringing to you as well the opportunity to get your lemon mist. Now this one, have anyone been painting daffodils recently? Imagine doing a fairy garden inspired daff with that. Oh, it'd be glamour. And we've also got your pearl here for you. Now pearl is a really good one with the shimmer paint because pearl, just like the orient or the surface of a pearl, it's got lots and lots of little holes in it which diffracts the light. That is what this paint does, so it's really beautiful in that colour, incredibly versatile, that hue. I've also got your russet red as well. This one, again, great for some of your brickwork and actually would go lovely if you do like a juxtaposition with the red velvet chalk paint that I did earlier on. So those are your other colours. If you do fancy them, you know how to shop with us, right? Yeah, head on over to our website and grab them there. We've still not shown you all of the Cosmic Shimmer products. I mean, the fact that this glitter is beside me just sat there like, I can't wait for you to show me. We will bring it to you and we will be crafting with some of it as well. Do just keep your eyes on the website so that you can check out whilst we have some of it in stock. So I will be honest, some of it is very popular, certain colours and things. So if they do sell out, you've not checked them out, obviously they're not yours, but do have a little nosy on there. Shall we carry on crafting? Let's do it. Jan, I'm back with you.
Right, so all I've done is just blast that with my heat tool, ready for the next level. But just while I've got all this blue paint left on here, I've taken a scrap of my watercolour card and I'm literally just going to dab some onto here just to colour this piece in. And then I'm also going to spritz it because I want it a little bit lighter. Okay, and find that spritzing bit again. And then literally just blot that to make it a wee bit lighter. And what I've done is I've stamped over this in the original one to make the sentiment here.
Oh, I see.
So literally we're just going to keep this to one side until we get towards the end and we can do the stamping of the sentiment. So again, I'm just blotting it to take it back a bit because I don't want that to be too dark. So I'm just going to leave that literally to dry off now, just while I've got the paint left, okay? So next bit then, I just want to darken this off before we jump to those circles. So I'm going to give that brush a good old wash. And then because I didn't have any black paint, I've gone to my black opaque ink and I want to create sort of a darker area in the middle. So straight onto my mat and then literally with a little bit of we can use the mister or the directional one just to activate that. And then again, I'm going to come in with that slightly bigger brush this time. Oops. And literally pop some of this Let me just bring this where you can see there. Pop this in the middle now. And again, no skill involved. I'm literally just popping it through the middle, and I'm going to do the same again. I'm just going to spritz it down just to get it moving. And it's not got the same viscosity as the paint, so it won't move quite as much as the paint did, but it will just literally make it more movable. Okay, so you can wet the paper first if you wish. So if you want to spritz the paper down the middle and then add this in, and just literally, I'm filling that gap in the middle. And don't worry about what you might think, my goodness, Jan, you've made a right old mess. But don't forget, a lot of this is going to be covered with those circles. All right, it is literally just getting some dark, and I'm bringing it slightly over the edges of the blue, just to get that darker area going on. Okay, and then literally, just as I say, spritzing it just to get that movement in it. If we need a little bit more ink, pop a bit more out, just to push it where you want it to be.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to leave that again to dry. All right, so we're good with that bit. The next bit, we're going to go back, and I'm hoping that those circles are dry now, because we're going to work on those now. And then hopefully the last bit is just assembling it once we've done all the colour. So these should, mine look dry because they're not shiny anymore, but just to be doubly sure, again, I'm just going to give them a quick blast with my heat tool just to make sure that they're dry, because if they're not, the product starts interfering with the structure paste, the modelling paste. So again, I've just brought all 6 of them in and give them a bit of a blast with the heat tool. And then we're going to jump to the Pixie Sparkles now. So another medium. We've used the gilding polish. We're going to look at the Pixie Sparkles, but again, we're going to use them directly onto our project. So I chose Coral Crush, which is a peachy tone, and we're going to start and create the colour in the circles now. So you can see on part of the circle, I've actually got that peachy tone going on.
Oh yeah.
Then we've got a bit of shading, and then I've got a bit of shimmer at this side. So we're going to create all this colour on here now. So it's a combination of the Pixie Sparkle. I've used a little bit of the black opaque ink again for the dark part. I've used a little bit of Honey Pot opaque ink to bring the peach into the yellow. And then I've also used some of our Opal Blaze polish, which again was on the last shows that we did. I know some of you picked this up, and that is in turquoise peach. Perfect combination for what we're doing. So all 4 of those together, we're going to do a combination. So I'm going to literally do one thing first. So give it a little shake to agitate your powder in here. And I'm literally going to pop some directly onto my glass mat. So just tap a bit of the powder out here. Okay, and then you want the wet paintbrush again. I'll take this one that I've not used yet and add some water to it. And can you see how it wakes them up? So again, they want to be quite wet because we want that paint to move. So I've got quite a lot of water, but I can see the shimmer going on in there from here. All right, so from the side where the texture paste is, so this is actually this is the plain side where my thumb is. I'm literally going to pop some round the edge again. So literally just blodging it on, no particular technique involved, just popping it on, and then that spray mixer again, just the same technique to spray it and push it where we want it to go. And you see? And again, it's worthwhile keeping either a piece of tissue or a wipe just in place so that, you know, if there's any goes further than you want it to, you can actually just dab it off. So again, if it gets a little bit too light, I want quite concentrated colour around one side and then fading to sort of a lighter shade as it comes into the centre of the circle. So just one last little spray on there just to move it. And again, it should fill in the bits between the stencil and the texture paste. Okay, and then I'm going to put that to one side. So that's number one there. And as it dries, you'll see that shimmer come through. And then we're going to do the same on all of these. And if you run out, all right, pop a bit more of your powder. Your powder goes such a long way. There's a lot in here. So don't be worried about how much you're actually using. Now, from learning the hard way, to spritz this now, whoosh, everything got covered in Coral Crush. So I'm actually taking water out of my water pot just to water that down a bit. Because when I was at home, I'd got the mini covered in it, I'd got the paint, everything was covered in it. So again, just round the edge where the texture paste is, dot it on there, round about sort of nearly halfway. Okay, and then with that mister, literally push it into the space that you want it. Okay, and again, I'm just going to add, because we've pushed that paint forward, I'm just going to add a bit more depth around that outside edge there. And then where the water is, it will follow that design, that water. Okay, just pop those down a little bit. So I'm just literally going to do the same on all 6 of the circles.
Okay.
So I don't know whether there's anything else you want to do, Becky, while I just finish these off, and then everybody can make sure everybody's caught up.
Absolutely. Let me just let you know that the colour that lovely Jan is using, the Coral Crush, is currently on your screen. So if you do love it, then you absolutely can. Lots of you getting involved. Kathy saying, I love the techniques that you're doing, Jan. Deborah saying, these shimmer paint colours are amazing. I know. I think the violet one's speaking to me most. Who's speaking to you? Which one?
Well, not so much shimmer. I was on the chalk, Becky, but I just pulled these 3 out, and I thought, you know, I can see a project coming along. Can you see how well they blend together?
Oh, they look so
And I've literally
good.
I've got orchid, I've got pink blossom, and then the sky violet. Shy violet.
Shy, yeah.
But I just thought there's a definite pink project coming up there, isn't there? That was just grabbing 3 of them that blend together.
Can I just let you know, some of those colours are already selling out. So if they're already speaking to you, be as quick as a whippet and grab them right now. We've got Sally saying, Crafters TV just gets better and better. We have got Karen in saying, can you use a drying tool to dry paste?
A drying tool, as in a heat tool?
I presume so, yeah.
Yes.
You can,
you can pretty much force anything dry. I would always say in the first instance that any product is better left to air dry. And if you're able to consider that and put that into your project time, you will get the best result. But more or less anything that you work with, you can force dry with a heat tool.
Right.
The only thing I would say with paste, with texture paste, is not to hover over one place for very long, because it will start and bubble and crack.
Yes.
So keep your heat tool moving so that you'd literally applying that heat all over it. Yeah?
Brilliant. And we've got so many people in. Karen is saying, I am obsessed, love all of CC's products and their shows. Loretta is saying, I can see myself making a big mess with this paint. So crafting's all about, right? We've also got Mary saying, I've just received my Pixie Sparkle, so perfect timing. Well, I tell you what, we have got so many more treats, definitely sparkle related, and one that we are going to be working with soon is the sparkle jewels. Now I will just let you know, if you are a jewel or bling lover like myself, okay, just do me a favour. Just imagine for a second you're walking past a shop, you're walking past a boutique, and you see something sparkling out the corner of your eye and you see this effect. Oh, how are you going to feel? I feel giddy. Like, genuinely, I feel like, oh, blimey, I just want to grab it and throw it all over my face. I just think it looks brilliant.
It's just lushness in a pot, isn't it?
It really is. And this, you know, that is, would you say that's quite impactful? Yeah, me too. Guess what, though? You are getting the most ginormous tub of this. That is just a tiny, 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 not even an amount. It's tiny, it's absolutely minuscule. So this one, those are the kind of effects you're going to be getting. So we've got loads and loads and loads of them. So icicle sparkles you've got here right now. This one again giving you that wonderful effect. It's a really interesting look that you're getting to it. It's got lovely little shards within it, gives you that icicle like effect. Lovely for your fairy designs, I would say. I have also got for you a midnight snow. Now your midnight snow has gone wandering. Where are you, midnight snow?
It's black.
Where is it? Is that the one you're working
like a
with?
black
It is,
glitter.
isn't it?
Yep.
It's the one we're going to be, plot spoiler alert, it's the one we're going to be working with. But yeah, this one, again, has got really interesting look. This is the one that Jan has used in elements of her design. A little bit finer there, but real big impact. £4.25 on that, or £7.99. We have got that wonderful dark effect, which, as Jan said earlier on, you know, she doesn't always use the black ink, but when we're pairing it with this, it goes so nicely. So that is the Midnight Snow, if you wanted to seize the moment. We've also got the silver hexagons. Now these silver hexagons are big, they are bold. This is, if you buy chunky glitter, this is like chunky glitter has eaten chunky glitter. It's absolutely massive, which means it's even more impact. Again, just one or two of them. You can see there's what, I mean, I don't even guess, but let's say only 15 pieces at the bottom of this jar. It is like pure silver. Now, if you love reflection, if you love that mirrored effect, this is the one for you, definitely, because silver colours like this bounce around about 90% to 95% of the light that hits it back into your eye. So that means it is real impact. So it's perfect if you love that mirror-like effect. That's definitely the one for you. £4.25 or $7.99 in dollars if you do want to grab those ones. Again, it's the large ones, and that could go perfectly as well if you did want to get it with the holographic. Those two together, I think, look wonderful. Imagine those together in like a shaker card. That could look really cool, couldn't it? It looks brilliant. Next up, we've got for you the You Are Gold. I really like this gold because you know how gold can be quite brassy sometimes. This isn't that kind of colour to me. It's almost like a sort of Indian gold effect. Really pretty, a little bit delicate, got a touch of the coolness to it, which is lovely. And then we've got your Frosted Crystal. Now this one is your more dainty glitter. Again, dainty but impactful. So it's really bold. Again, I'm just going to give you a little insight to it because I think, oh my gosh, what would you use that on? You could use it on sort of festive pieces. You could use it on maybe your fairy inspired pieces. Anybody into the mermaidial at the moment? Perfect for that, isn't it?
Great shaker bits as well, Becky.
Yeah.
As long as you dust your acetate with some kind of anti-static, whether it be the little bags or talc or anything like that, they look great in the shaker cards, those.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think, speaking of the shaker cards, how great would these ones be for your shaker cards? Because they're really, really large, but also they are translucent. So if you've got a photograph behind it, even if all of this sparkle sits over it, you're still going to be able to see the photograph. You can see that there. You can still see my skin underneath, can't you? Because it's translucent. Almost looks a little bit like the scales on a ghost koi carp, if you've ever seen them. Very majestic indeed. Great for your unicorns as well. That is a huge 100ml pot. That is going to last and last and last. And it's only $9.75 or $14.49. So seize the moment on any of those. Don't forget, head to our website, shop whilst you can, and let's carry on with crafting with Jan. I'm with you, Jan.
Fantastic.
Are you cutting out your butterfly?
I've just spent 2 minutes while you were chatting, Becky, just to cut my butterfly out. All right, so if you haven't got that far, don't worry. I've just trimmed him out with my little snips. So literally, we've got those circles at the ready there. They are just about dry. Again, if they're not quite dry, just give it a force with your heat tool. And then we're going to add some more colours to these. So we're going to add some ink to it as well. So working with stuff that you've got in your stash. So I'm going to take my honey pot and literally just fill in from the other side, but not again. I don't want all the way from the outside. I'm sort of almost going to go down the middle just to blend this over and create a bit more colour there. Can you see?
Yes.
So literally keeping the coral at one side, almost overlapping a wee bit and taking this down the middle. And okay, just do all 6 of them the same. So it's all very repetitive with the techniques. All right. And then we're going to add a little bit of darker shade with the black. because I want them to sort of look as if the light's shining across one side of them and then getting darker as we go across. So a little bit of the yellow just in the centre there. It doesn't have to be anything flash.
Oh, it just looks
And then
fab.
again,
It really
I've got,
does.
one set up with my black on. So these are the opaque inks that I'm working with again. Your water reactive would work the same as well. So from the side with the colour on, I'm literally just going to bring from the edge just a little tiny bit over that edge, because I want them to look as if they're going from light to dark. So I'm now working over the top of the texture paste with the coral on, literally just to bring that sort of shading across them.
Makes it look almost domed. It's a great technique.
Yeah, it is. It's just giving them some, rather than everything just being flat, it's giving the illusion, but it is actually, apart from the butterfly, it is actually a flat piece.
It's got a touch of like the, oh, what's that thing called? What's that? Something off of, not Star Trek. Star Wars.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It almost looks like a magical planet or something. Do you agree with me, Jan?
That Star Wars is not something I've ever watched, Becky.
Oh, really?
No, I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I can't really comment on that one.
Right. Oh, well, just go with it, Jan. Just smile and nod.
And then the last bit there, just to create a bit more illusion of light at this side, is that lovely opal blaze. So mine one was turquoise peach. Again, if you chose another colour, if you ordered these when we had them on the other show, you know, have a look and see what works. So again, just with the finger there, I'm just going to go on the lighter side now from this outside edge and just rub this on like you would do gilding wax. So this is lightening up this side, and it's also got that gorgeous shimmer to it now. And if I can catch this in the light now, can you see how it's bringing that shimmer look there onto that side?
Yeah, it's great.
There, look. So you've gone from light across to dark as if it's sweeping across your page. So I've done exactly the same thing to each one. So just a little bit on there, and then just rub it and blend it into that yellow with your finger there. And I'm trying to go as quick as I can because I'm just looking at the clock and I can't believe we've only got half an hour left. So I'm hoping I can get far enough that you can actually, if it's just the assembly, you've got my picture to work from to literally, I'll talk you through how to stick it together as long as we've got all the techniques done. Okay, so literally just popping a little bit of that on each one there. And I am rushing a bit now because I can't believe how fast it's gone. They always say time flies when you're having fun.
Agreed.
And this is like, definitely, from my point of view anyway, definitely fun.
It's sped up.
All right, so again, I've just got those there. They should be okay now. So that's those. So we can pop that one to one side. So we've got our base done. We've got our pieces ready. Now they do need to be dry, and I asked you to pop on your list a fine liner pen. All right, come back to that in a second because I just need to make sure that those are completely dry. All right, so I'll just leave them there for a minute. The butterfly, if you managed to get him cut out, if you didn't, you can still paint it without it being cut out. I'm just going to use, I've got some of the blue left that we did the background with. So I'm just going to take a bit of that that's left, and it will reactivate the minute you put water on it, and literally put some on my butterfly. So again, I'm working from the centre, popping some of that lovely shimmer on there. And then I'm going to use that spritz again just to lay a little bit of kitchen paper to catch the drips and just push that paint out to the edge again so that it just, yep, and any that you don't want there, you can just dab off. So again, that way I'm going to push it that way. All right, and again, any that pushes too far, and then I just want to darken up that centre piece again. Okay. So all I've done is gone back to that gilding polish that we started with, and it's just what was left over. All right, and then I'm going to leave him to dry as well, so he can go on my drying pile, and then we'll come back to that one if we get a chance. I'm just concerned that I'm going to run out of time. So, going back to the circles then, they should be dry enough now. With your fine liner pen then, all I've done on here is just draw a rough outline around each circle. And again, I've not tried to keep it in line with the circles. I have literally just gone wobbly line, turning the circle as you go, wobbly line, all the way round. And again, this is bringing that black in there, okay? All the way around, and I've gone round once. And then the second time, I'm going to go sort of in and out, weave in and out as if I'm crossing over that line. Look, just to make sort of literally a wobbly line. Okay, all the way around again. And then in about 3 different places, round the edge of your circle. This one's not quite dry. I've literally looked at it and thought, right, we'll go here. And I've just gone zigzag, 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 zig. And then turned it about another third the way around, zigzag, 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 zig. And then again round this side. And they look like little stitching lines. Okay, just to give it that illusion that it's actually framed there. So we've gone from here to here. Okay.
Great.
Now I'm conscious again that we're running out of time. So you can do that on each one. What I want to do is get everything done so that if you just have to assemble it at home, that's absolutely fine. You can use mine as a guide. Okay, so the frame that we did originally, we stuck all those 4 pieces together. I'm going to use that black opaque ink and literally just colour it in black. If you've got a black pen, you could do this with a pen. Okay, but I just want this to be quite a solid black. So again, I'm just using that applicator to colour it in and give it a good 2 or 3 layers. You want a really nice dark black on here. So again, as I say, if you've got a pen, you could actually use a pen to colour this in. Okay, and I've got that black then to offset against the colours there. So that's that layer. I'm just trying to think what else we actually need as far as the elements are concerned. The piece that we stamped on earlier, not stamped on, the piece that we coloured earlier, which was this scrap piece, can be for your sentiment. So again, I'm going to take my little stamping platform and stamp this into that blue. Okay, so I need to make sure I go back to my waterproof ink, because again, if we do actually splatter anything on there, I need to make sure that this line art isn't going to move. So inking it up, popping it just over where I've got some of that blue in there, and we can cut that out later on. Okay, so again, whatever you fancy. I did originally think I was going to put the word inspire on there, but then when that stamp set came out and it had that word in it, I thought that was great. So the only thing we haven't done to the background now, let me put all those up there to dry off, is a little bit of splatter. And I asked you to pop your black gesso in there, and this is where it really does get messy. Okay, so I've tried to just cover up a wee bit with the cardstock. If you haven't got black gesso, you can use black acrylic paint. All right, but again, I'm just going to put, way too much out there, but that'll do. I'm rushing now. And again, you want one of the smaller brushes, and you're going to dilute it again. It wants to be quite... And you see how this one splatters it around?
Yes.
But it wants to be quite wet, this.
Okay.
And then literally load your brush and tap. Oh, I've not done my stamping either, have I? Oh, that's skipped a step. Not used the stamps on it. We'll have to fit those in as well. So just wherever you fancy. And again, that's bringing that black into play. Okay?
Yeah.
So again, I need to just get rid of what's on the... way too much out there again. I did say at the beginning that I was going to start off all nice and neat, and then just, it's all gone to potluck. But
no,
it does,
that's the fun of
this
mixed
is the
media,
beauty of the craft mat.
Yeah,
your glass mat just literally all cleans up. Right, so what I have forgotten to do is use the other text stamp. So we'll have to see if we can get that one in. And again, if I show you the techniques, I'm just conscious looking at the time that we may not get this assembled. but just to show you the techniques, and then you can actually stick it all together using my design as a guide. So again, this would be better if that paint was dry. I'll just give it a quick blast again. And then I'm going to try and miss the paint areas because I actually forgot this bit. We should have done this bit earlier because I wanted it to disappear behind. Okay, but again with this one, waterproof ink. The black ink always needs to be waterproof because everything else we've used has got a water base. If this isn't waterproof, anything that you stamp out with that ink is going to bleed when you add the water. So I don't use a block for this one. I literally pop it down, ink it up, and then just used bits of it. I don't want a whole block of text, I just want little suggestions in there. And I'm trying to miss the black paint now. Okay, so just little areas here and there. Okay. So wherever you think it's suitable, again, there's no exact science. Just pressing down areas of it. And I've sort of gone 3 down each side there, just to give that suggestion that there's text on there. Okay. So I'm hoping, I know I might have lost 1 or 2 of you because I did speed up a little bit there. We've got 20 minutes left. I'm going to let this dry. And then basically the only thing that I haven't done is the little flowers. And again, those are from that garden trellis set. And I've stamped out 3 of the flowers. I've coloured them with a combination of the honey pot and the coral sparkle like we did with the circles, and then cut them out with my little scissors, and I've got these tucked behind the flowers, again optional. And then basically it's going to be a case of popping down where you want your items to go. Now all we need to remember is that we're going to have all the light side facing one way. So I've literally got some over the top and some underneath. So decide where you want them. Okay. Have a look at where they want to go. That one was over the top. That one is going to come. We're going to have one lower down and one in there. And then one at the bottom. So you can see how we're building up that shape.
Yeah.
Then we've got the frame there, so these might want to just come over. Bearing in mind that we're going to put that outline on all of them. This one's going to come over to here. And then if you have, you don't necessarily have to, but if you have any sort of extra embellishments, so the cheesecloth or anything like that went underneath here just as another sort of texture and layer. And then I suggested some thread, which again is as simple as pulling some off. Oops. Just pull a chunk off. This is what I love about mixed media. It doesn't have to be exact. And then literally scrumple it up. Okay. And then that's going to go inside here. When our little butterfly's finished and dry, he's going to go in the top here.
Oh.
We're going to cut out our sentiment to go at the bottom. And then again, if you have any of the embellishments, I just use a little tiny key to go down the centre of the butterfly. And the only thing missing off there, I think, is the little circle stamp from here. You can add some circles to the outside. And then I also use some little black gems, whoops, here, just to add some extra detail when it was finished.
Oh,
okay.
It just looks great.
So I'm conscious we've got about 15 minutes left. I know you've got some more product to show. So I'm going to continue with those outlinings and things. And then again, as I say, if anybody's stuck, you can always get a hold of me on either Instagram or Facebook, under Jan Brown CC. If anybody's stuck, just message me and I will try and help out. This one is on my social media, so the layout wise, you can actually look at this with regards to putting it together. I'm sorry we're running a bit short on time. The only thing that I added in here at a last minute, and the reason I haven't brought it on the show is because it's one of the new products, is that gorgeous, whoops, where's it gone? That midnight snow. And it's like a really large chunky glitter. So all I did was fill an area with some white glue, with the tacky glue, and then drop the glitter into it and let it dry. Because the glue dries clear, you can just see that little bit of sparkle going off in the bottom there.
Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it.
Right, so I'm going to carry on working over here while you finish off, Becky.
Fab.
And as I say, if anybody's got any questions, because I'm just conscious that that last bit went really quick. Anybody got any questions, or if anybody's stuck with any of the techniques, just drop me a message and I will try my best to get back to you. It will probably be tomorrow because I'm not home well late, but I will do my best to try and get back to you and help you out, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it didn't go too fast.
It.
All right, and as I say, I'm just going to carry on working through this while you finish off there, Becky, all right?
Great stuff. Oh, it's just fab, isn't it? Have you been loving crafting along? Are you like me and just chomping at the bit to get home and start crafting? Yeah. If you do want to recreate this look, let me give you a few tips. First off, save this show. It's really easy to do. And second off, make sure you've got some of the elements that you're going to need. So at the end there, you saw that Jan was using some of the stamps to create, again, interest and texture. I've got some of the lectured stamps here for you. Now I just want to let you know that the layering, texturing stamps, you've got a discount today, 17%. And if you do just want to buy 2 of them in together, that's available option as well. You can get 2 of them for £14 or $18. But if you get them in this big pack that's on screen now, they're only actually £6.65 each. And by £6.65, I don't mean £6 for that one, that one, that one. I mean £6.65 for all of those, and £6.65 for all of those, and £6.65 for all of those, or $8.29 if you're that way inclined. But yeah, you're getting absolutely loads in here. So that one that I just showed you before was your ace. This is just a note. I've also got for you in here your missing you, which is the wonderful letters and the circles that Jan was just using on hers then. We also have the on your special day, which is perfect for anniversaries, weddings, birthdays, I don't know, haircut days, whatever it might be. And we've also got your special friend one here, lovely and ethereal, very nice textures, and it's got the special friend on there as well. So all of those in together, you can get them for just $39.95 or $49.75. Again, working out just over £6.50 each. So do feel free to seize the moment. I have got another set of cosmic shimmers to show you that we haven't even had a time to look at yet. And it is your matte chalk polish. Now this is the one that comes with the applicator on the top. And this is giving you that chalk-like finish. Now, it doesn't feel like chalk. You know, when you think of chalk and you think of rubbing it and it all sort of flakes away, it doesn't give you that kind of feel. It does give you that kind of look, though, when it dries. 50 mil in here, it will go so far. As well as that one, I think this is a great pairing, personally. What do you think? It's nice, isn't it? Because purple and yellow are opposite each other on the colour spectrum, which means they're complementary. And although this isn't bright yellow or bright purple, it's definitely a nod towards it, isn't it? So we are bringing to you the beauty of ballet slipper, this one is called. And again, you've got the applicator in the top, but you can just unscrew it and use the product straight from it with a paintbrush if you wanted to. I've then got for you your olive matte as well. Those also make me think of flowers. You know, when you're going out walking about in your garden. Hey, it's not too far off my dress, actually. Oh, hello. Right, there we go. That's me sorted for the night. I could put some leopard print on my skin, stand against some walls. No one would know I was there. £5, 75 or $9.99, by the way, these are each. So this one is your olive. And then this one is your Daydream Blue, which I have to say I think is probably one of my favourites. I love the colour of this because I think you're going to be able to get, it's almost like a delicate duck egg blue, which is really beautiful and very on trend for this year's colour of the year, of course. So, and if you do love like your Etsy colour of the year, their colour of the year this year is sky blue. It's very similar to that. We've not just got that though. Oh no, we've got loads of other goodies. This is your Glitter Kiss. And this is in your chrome. You get 50 mil and you can see how super mega fine that is. That just lasts and lasts and lasts. £7 or $11.49. You've also got these Midnight as well. This is your Midnight Sparkle. That is your final one to seize the moment if you wanted to. So you can grab it whilst you have the chance to do so. Please do now head on over to our website while you can, because we are very, very low on stock. So many of you messaged in. We've got plenty of questions. As Jan said, she will be answering some of those while she can. But what I will say to you is we are going to let Jan loose! Ooh. Release the Jan!
My goodness, I'm just having a look at some of the newer stuff that we've got here, Becky.
Love
just
it.
so that we can have a look at it. So what we'll do, just on, my apologies for not getting that project finished. As I say, it's hard to know how much time you need.
You showed us everything, it's brilliant.
So for those of you that aren't familiar, I'm going to start off with the gilding polish, but this is a new colour that we've brought in. So it comes to you in the pot with the applicator as part of the kit. So just put your thumbs against it and push, and you've got that lovely little sponge applicator. Now the first time you use them, I usually spray a little bit of water, just dab up the water, and then literally dry it off again, just in case there's any residue in that sponge from the manufacturer. And then what you want to do is just look at this.
Oh,
those of you that like purple, honestly, that picture on the screen's not doing it justice. It is absolutely gorgeous. And the idea is that you go in with your little sponge, you take a bit of product and you use the edge of the jar to create like a little slope and take off any excess on the edge of the jar. Try and keep the edges clean. And then literally, this will turn your piece of card from plain old white card into beautiful metallic colours. So that one is the dark cherry. And again, all I'm doing is just smoothing it on.
this is on the website, by the way. We don't have it on the show at the moment.
Have
but it
we
is on
not?
the
Right,
website.
okay. All right, trust me to pick one that wasn't on the show.
It's all right.
Have we got the glitter kiss on?
We've got Glitter Kiss.
I've got ice blue.
In the Chrome and Midnight.
Chrome
we've
and
got it.
Midnight. Let me see what I've got in my bag of tricks then. I think I've got the chrome one. Oh no, that's copper.
You're getting absolutely, whilst you're looking for that, you're getting loads of love, Jan. Very interesting
Silver
show.
chrome.
I haven't
Here
done
we
any
go.
mixed media, but Jan makes me want to give it a try. She's such a good teacher.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So again, I'm just going to do the same again, just when they're new. You don't have to do this once you've opened them. It's just when they're new, just to make sure there's no residue. Now this one is a very similar product to what we've been using and what we've introduced already, but this is Glitter Kiss. So this is actually a water-based polish that has now got glitter encapsulated it. So not only can you make your own, just look. When I get this in the light, look at the shimmer on that.
Oh,
but
beautiful.
now we can do exactly the same technique and make our own glitter card. Look at this.
And you're using such a small amount.
You don't
aren't you,
need
Jan?
a lot, not a lot.
Great.
Now it depends how much coverage you want. If you want it to be quite dense,
Yeah.
then let it dry, okay, and then add another layer. Okay, so it's literally sort of almost like rubbing it and taking it off here. Let that dry, and then when you come back and build up the layers, you can actually get a whole total coverage to just look like a piece of glitter card. So obviously we're racing against time with the drying time here, but as you build it up, you can see that it becomes more
dense.
intense, yeah. And again, just to smooth it on again, but you can see the shimmer going on in there. And then again, when we actually pick this up, can you see? Just look.
Whoa!
Honestly. So that's your glitter kit, and we've got lots of different colours in that. As far as housekeeping goes, when you pop your pots together, just make sure that you've not got product around the outside of your jar, because obviously it's going to stick together and then you have issues reopening your jar. And how do I know this?
Been
Because
there,
I've done it
done
myself.
that.
So I do all the bits and learn all the hard way. I want to show you, did you say the Sky Shimmer paint was sold out?
No, still got it, yeah.
Right, let's show you these then. So these are actually a paint format, but again, they are water-based. So again, this is what I love about these products, because anything that's water-based all play with each other. Whereas when you've got something that's sort of solvent-based, there's a limit to what you can work with, because obviously oil and water don't mix, solvent and water don't mix. So again, let me just see whether there's a little, we've got no cover in there. So let's just pop a little bit of this down, just to show you some of the colour. And again, you need so little of the actual paint. So let me just clean out my bigger brush there.
That looks like a tiny amount. Is that pea-sized or
Literally,
even less?
I bet even sweet corn, let alone the peas, but just look.
Wow, looks brilliant.
So the technique that we did earlier on our mixed media project, you could easily use these.
Oh, that'd be
These will
perfect
go
for it.
straight onto MDF. And again, we've talked about MDF before. A lot of these products will go straight on, but if you want the true colour of the actual product, prime it first with your gesso. I said to you all along that this is like a primer. It's like getting everything ready to receive what goes on top of it. So use the gesso first on your MDF to get rid of the brown, because obviously the blue paint on top of brown would be a completely different colour to what blue would be over white. So whereas they will cover MDF, I would actually prime it first. But that's that blue, and it's still a little bit damp, so you've got a bit of a shimmer in it at the minute, but you will get that lovely sort of subtle shimmer with the paints. And then the chalk paint, obviously you've got that lovely chalk finish on them. So there are so many products that honestly I could go on for another hour with them. The last one that I want to show you, because I'm just conscious of the time, is the little pearl accents. I've not even had chance to open these yet, because they only landed on my doormat a couple of days ago. So we've actually got here old gold.
Yes.
All right, so what I'm going to do is just take the top. When it comes to you, it's sealed. So you've got a little break here with the top attached here, and you just need to snip off a tiny little bit at the top here, and then you've got your closure for later use. But literally all I'm going to do with these is just squeeze out, so you can make large pearl drops, or you can go down in size, and you will save yourself a fortune in buying pearl embellishments, and they will dry like so. So let me just try. These are still wet. They will take about 30 minutes to set. But if I can actually just try and get this at an angle and just show you how much, which way, oh, they're running now because they're not dry. But there is literally, they are domed. We've just got one that's blobbed because it was still wet, but they will dry domed just like a little pearl adhesive embellishment. And honestly, you can get this in lots of different colours that will tone in with your projects. As it saves you a fortune in self-adhesive gems. All you need is a little bit on here. As I say, it takes about 30 minutes to dry. So if I'm using them on a project, I'll do everything I need to do, pop these on last, and then just leave it somewhere to dry. Alternatively, if you've got a piece of wax paper or greaseproof paper, anything like that, you can put the dots out onto the greaseproof paper, let them dry, and then lift them up with your pokey tool, pop a little bit of glue underneath, and you can literally add them as a separate pearl. So yes, I think we could have done with another half an hour today. We'd have just finished off nicely. Well. So yeah, just to reiterate again, if anybody's got any questions about the mixed media project, message me on social media and I will try and get back to you. And the photograph is on both my Instagram and my Facebook account, from the point of view, if you've got far enough to assemble it all, what it actually looked like as a finished project.
Perfect. Jan, thank you so much for that. There are loads of you who've sent in pictures, including but not limited to Val Lloyd. Just because of time, we're not able to show them, but we will all be nosying on social media. So we'll have a nosy at them afterwards. So thank you so much. Work in progress for all of you, I'm sure. So enjoy the rest of that work. And do feel free to seize the moment on any of those treats that you've seen throughout the show today. I will let you know that plenty of the cosmic shimmers have been really, really popular, so do feel free to seize the moment. I guess your demo of the show is obvious.
Well, if you need a demo of the show, yeah, you're going to have my original one, I think, because I've not got the other one finished, so...
We will absolutely take that.
Do I want to part with it?
Well, hopefully. Jan, thank you so much for this show.
You are welcome. I'm just sorry I didn't get it all finished.
Do not be silly. I cannot tell you how many wonderful comments you've had, so I know that you'll look at them afterwards.
Thank you.
But yeah, YouTube and Facebook, everyone's been sending so much love, so thank you very much for that, Jan. And thank you to you for getting involved. It's been absolutely gorgeous being with you. I'm going to be back with you on Saturday, and we have got so much more coming up for you in the next few shows. In fact, this is what's coming up on Cartload. In Cartload this evening, starting at 7 p.m. UK time or 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's a 3-hour special. We've also got 12 till 7, 12 and 7 ET. Tomorrow is your wake-up call, and that's going to be with Joe. So you've got plenty of goodies and treats there. And as I say, tonight on the Cartload, it's an extra 3 hours. You've got the lovely Sarah, and you've got Ben on that one as well. So with loads and loads of treats. Jan, again, thank you so much. Thank you to the wonderful team. As always, thank you to you. Enjoy the rest of your mixed media, and I hope to see you really soon. Bye-bye.